I lost my glasses. I have two kinds of glasses. I've got the glasses that I use for reading, and it's actually quite good for this one. And then I have long range glasses for when I'm looking at something from afar. And I lost those in Colombia last time I was there. I left them at the freaking Airbnb, which sucked. And so now I'm like, well, do I wear the glasses because I can see the TV better kind of without them, but I need them for the text here. I don't know what I'm going to do. Welcome, everyone. This is my UFC 330 watch along, and then we're going to immediately, once the fights are over on this stream, go right into the post-fight show. My name is Luke Thomas. Thank you so much for watching me. I greatly appreciate it. Thumbs up here if you're watching right now. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Share this with a friend who may wish to watch. I haven't done one of these in a couple of months because, well, let's see. I did one for the White House card. And then for the Conor fight, I was on vacation. And so here we are. And the card has had many upsets, some duds along the way too. Even some fights that were some good finishes. They were just still, what was the point of it? Which was the last one. And then the opener. What was the opener? It was Edson Barboza and Esteban Ribovic. I never know how to properly pronounce it because he's Argentinian. I'm not sure. Anyway, you got finishes in them, but I'm not really sure what the point of them was. Nevertheless, we're now getting to the more important parts of this card. Co-main event coming up, Mackenzie Dern taking on Gillian Robertson. Don't know if that deserves to be, it is a title fight. It doesn't feel like one, but it's certainly not a bad fight. And then the main event, Islam Makhachev taking on Ian Garry, which is an absolutely superb main event. But okay, so here's how this is going to go. We're going to watch this co-main event. We're going to watch the main event. And then once that's over, we're going to go right into the post-fight show. If you got a comment and you want to get it on the screen, a comment, a question, you can put it on the screen. It's a great way to support the channel. If you're a member, you should be able to do at least some of that for free. I'm not sure about YouTube's new rules on all this stuff. Someone was telling me about it in the last live chat. I'm not sure how all of that works. But it's a great way to support the channel if you're so inclined. All right. There's definitely been some nice wins on this card, too. I don't want to be unfair. Prelim card had a few of those, for sure. Definitely some big upsets. Huge upsets, as a matter of fact. But yeah, now we're going to get to the sort of the. They just announced UFC 333. What did I miss? They did? Did I miss that? I saw that they announced, I think in November, October, something like that. There's going to be a Gabriel Bonfim and Sean Brady main event. I think that's at the Apex. I could be wrong about that. And then they just announced Raoni Barcelos and Raul Rosas Jr. at the Apex. That's September 27th. I did not see a UFC 333 announcement. If you did, pardon me, send it to me. I didn't see it. Did they do that shit? Yeah, November 7th for Gabriel Bonfim, Sean Brady. But I didn't see UFC 333. I mean, we haven't even gotten to 332 yet. Right? They've only announced 331 for crying out loud. But there we are. Well, thank you for joining me. Like I said, haven't done one of these in a couple of months. Jesus. But we're back tonight. We're ready to rock. And this should be some fun. Again, this co-main event, not a bad fight. Whether it's, whether it feels like a regal title fight is certainly up for debate. But it should be fun for as long as it lasts, right? All right. I saw some insane stat. Like, if you look at like Gillian Robertson's opponents since they fought her, it's like these insane losing streaks. Like 0-5, 0-6, 0-4. There may have been one that was like 0-9 that I saw. They announced it right as you were getting online. Okay, well, what was it? The fuck? What was it? Let's see. What did they say? UFC 330. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, they're right. They did announce it. Okay. UFC 333. So it's going to be Saturday, October 24th, 2 p.m. So where is this going to be? In Abu Dhabi? Where are they going to put this thing? I'm guessing, right? Your main event, Volkov versus Evloev, which is killer. Peter Yan versus Merab 2, which is also killer. That is a sensational main and co-main event. Then you got Lonnie Kavanaugh taking on Ramazan Temirov. Alexander Volkov versus Rizvan Kuniev. Poor Volkov, man. They're going to make that guy win forever. And then Arnold Allen versus Aaron Pico. That's kind of cool. That's a tough fight for Pico. Jesus. Boy, they're not. Yeah, it's at Etihad Arena, so it's got to be in Abu Dhabi. Okay. Yeah, cool. Cool. It's not a bad card, if I do say so. Better than this card. They announced it right as you were getting online. Yes, I see that now. Thank you. Connor O'Brien out here just gifting memberships. All right, here comes Gillian Robertson. Trademark red hair. Every time I say a negative fact about Islam, it seems like you try to justify him or reduce the negativity. Maybe. Let's agree he's a cheater and a very inactive fighter. He has definitely cheated in noteworthy ways. It's true. But to me, like, not outside the boundaries of what you might see throughout a fighter's career, maybe a little bit more. And a very inactive fighter. That can be true too, although some of that is not his fault. But thank you for the nice words. I appreciate it. I honestly think people are disrespecting Ian. He has a legit chance to win. I love Islam, though. I mean, like I said, man, Islam is going to be very hard to pick against him. I did not pick against him. But Ian Garry is a super, super, super live dog, in my opinion. I would not be the least bit surprised if he won tonight. Not the least bit. Not even a tiny little bit would I be surprised. The question is how he might do it. Like what he actually has to do to like problem solve his way through. Like what does he actually come up with? That's the part to me that's highly intriguing. Luke, hope you're doing well. Appreciate the stream, big dog. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys for being here. I don't know how much we're going to get. I do not feel a ton of buzz for this event. I think Islam is something of a star. It looks like there's a good crowd in Philly. I'll give him credit for that. But I don't know how energized the online audience is for this one. I guess we'll see. All right, here comes Mackenzie Dern. I mean, UFC's trying to make it feel big. Doesn't really feel big, but, you know, they're out there putting their best foot forward, I guess. Cookie Unfiltered says Gillian by KO or TKO. Now, I'll be honest. I also do think Gillian can win this one. That would be it would be much more surprising to me if she did relative to Ian Garry, but not an absolute surprise. The problem is Dern is hittable and is willing to just kind of accept the terms of where her opponent wants to go. Now, the reason why I think Dern overcomes ultimately is because those dimensions are typically where Dern can have success head to head. But winnable for Robertson too. Christian says, let's go sexy red. Exall says this card has been asked. There's been the upsets have been interesting. The upsets have been interesting. Like the Chidi Njokuani Joel Alvarez fight was really bad in the sense that like Alvarez just never got out of second gear through a very weird set of decision making. But like it's intriguing as part of a larger narrative how many upsets there have been. Doesn't really feel big. Ayo, just teasing. Oh, yeah. I don't mean it that way necessarily. But yeah, in terms of like buzz, it doesn't feel that big. Criminal that Brady and or Pfeiffer are not on this card. I don't quite get it. Like they put Jeremiah Wells on this card, and he won. That was speaking of like monster upsets, beating Miktabek Oralby in the curtain jerker. That was a huge upset, and he had a Philadelphia guy in there. You know, it's like sort of promote. I mean, the UFC can break these rules in many ways because of who they are, but it feels like they shouldn't break them as often as they're able to do it, which is you got to put hometown guys in the cities that you're in. Would have liked to have seen a little bit more in that regard. BC is feeling big for this fight. Oh, BC is somewhere. I didn't see him cage side. Maybe he's backstage. I'm not even sure if he's in Philly. I think he is in Philly, or he could be in Connecticut doing CBS Sports HQ. I'm not really sure. I was texting with him earlier, but it was about a boxing thing. Oh, there he is. Did you guys see the AI drone company, Anduril, on the octagon floor? It's like you've got the intersection of the oligarchic class with the defense contractor class with the surveillance state class all put together kind of in one company, and they're now sponsoring UFC. That's fun. All right, tail of the tape. 33 from Dern, 31 for Gillian Robertson. They're about the same height, same weight, about the same reach. Of course, Dern much better on the ground. Here's Bruce Buffer. There's Dean Thomas. Megaton in Mackenzie's corner, of course. That's her father. Is Gillian first Canadian to fight for a title since GSP? Jesus, really? What do you I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe. I don't know. There haven't been many. I'm now 11 books into my new reading hobby thanks to your encouragement. I just completed Blood Meridian, good one. And I'm now reading Crime and Punishment. Good luck with that one. Take your time. Thank you for this wonderful inclusion into my life. Thank you for taking the plunge, my friend. Reading every day is good for your soul. Yes. All right, here we go. Robertson, a plus 170 underdog. Does she get it done? I don't think so, but let's see. Rory fought Robbie Lawler for the title after 2017, because that's when GSP fought Bisping. So was it after 2017? I think I hear a mower. Could you imagine if he was doing that at 10:49 p.m. at night? I'd be like, come on, guy. I know the memes are funny, but now we're getting to a little too literal. There's Mackenzie Dern. Oop. Oh, Jesus. I got to get my clock ready. I didn't get my clock ready. Hang on, y'all. God damn it. That's on me. I was a little bit not ready for that. I haven't done one of these in a while. I was out of practice. If I don't get it for the first round, I'll get it for the subsequent round. Please forgive me. All right, fight started. Give me just a second here. I'll speed this up. Hang on. This is going to change here. Oh, just wait a second. God damn it. Okay, hang on. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to get this up for you. Robertson was trying to in on a takedown. Can't get it. Now front headlock by Dern. There we are. Mine's a little slow. I'm going to speed it up here. Mine's a little fast. I'll leave it. There you go. Dern looks naturally a little quicker and maybe a little bit more fluid too. Low single by Robertson, nothing doing. Robertson does not have a high completion percentage on takedowns, so that by itself is not super determinative. Good leg kick from Dern. Oh, great 2 to the body left hook upstairs from Dern. Whipped Robertson's chin a little bit. Dern doing a pretty good job moving. She hasn't really set her feet, but she's certainly making herself a hard target. Good job by Dern getting out of the way of that hook and then coming underneath to recapture center. That was nice. Staying on the leg kicks as well. So far, Dern looking pretty smooth. Oh, just misses with the right hand, Dern. Dude, Robertson's just kind of eating. Oh, brilliant timing on the takedown by Dern. She gets a double. Now she's on top. Open guard for Robertson. I was going to say, Robertson was kind of just hanging around there. Robertson with the feet kind of in the hips, but you got to imagine Dern. Usually you don't want this. You don't want someone with your feet in the hips. Dern is probably going to have some good answers for it. Some good ground and pound here. Got to be careful with these up kicks. Oh, and she moves to half guard. Well, look at that shoulder pressure. Look how she's making Robertson turn away. That is heavy shoulder pressure. So she's captured her elbow on the far side. You see the underhook? Really what that is a capturing of the elbow. Well, it's many things, but that's one of them. Looks like she might be going for some, let's see, tripod passing. No, not yet. She can finish a Kimura from here in side control. You can see that little frame of the right arm of the elbow of Robertson here. That's going to make it a little bit hard to get the kind of twisted in sunk position you might need for that. She tries to go either to, here we go. There she's got it. You can finish from here if you've got the right limb, dimension. As a tall guy, I could finish it. She goes to, she tried to go to half. She can't. Good job by Robertson preventing the worst. She's going to try a knee cut here. It looks like. And you can see she's got almost everything except the foot out. She's going to take the back. Only one hook. I have seen Dern do really bad ground and pound from here. Notice she puts her forehead onto the floor. You see that? This is a bad habit she has where she has really weak ground and pound and no ability to, from here, to mean that this is better because she has an opening. She has to get the other foot in. There we go. Now she's got a little bit more cooking, and she flattens her out. She might just do a chases from the blind side on the choke. Oh, that's going to be it. That's it. Fight's over. No, I take that back. She might survive this. Yeah, she's okay. I take it back. End of the round. End of the round. I don't know if I'd call that 10-8, but very easy round for Mackenzie Dern. She was clearly better on the feet and was clearly better on the ground too. Yeah. Story of the fight so far. Old man struggles to get his clock up for two women. Dean Thomas don't want her to move her feet. She does look a little, I mean, she was trying to move, but her movement's it's a little stilted, Look at her flatten her out with the sort of the double underhooks, and she tries to get the choke here from the blind side, which is really nice. Doesn't quite have it. You can see she didn't quite have it on this side. All right. Let's see. Let's do it. Round 2. Dern striking has gotten a lot better. You can see she's already playing with a jab, left hook kind of variant. Good body kicks. She's had it the whole fight. Double leg. She gets it again. Let's see if she moves past to. She stays in. Let's see. Double. I was going to say double butterfly, but now it's more just open. It's amazing how much Dern struggles to pass against people clearly not as good as her. I've never been super thrilled with her passing. She's captured the left arm. Let's see if she can turn that. No, she's not going to hold it here, I don't think. Maybe. Nah. Dern she's trying to climb up. There it is. And you can bring that knee, you can actually bring it up their stomach. She uses it to pass the side. Now she puts her hips more onto the sort of like twisted hips facing forward kind of situation. She might go right here and she's going to mount. Yup, as soon as she turns. And then she's going to get both hooks in. She's going to flatten her out. Let's see. She's going to wait for her to turn and then try to grab something. There it is again on the blind side. Same choke, same sequence. She's trying to get her to turn her flat, or to be able to if she rolls through, she can take her to the opposite side. Here she can get through, she can get a head and arm, or she can roll through. Let's see what she decides to do. She's going to roll through. Now this is interesting. Dern has the back, 2 hands, 2 feet. She's going to have to trap. You have to play the numbers game. You have to trap one of the arms to really play this one typically the right way. She might come up. Oh, she has the arm in rear naked choke. There's 2 varieties of this. I'm not sure which one this is. This one is more on the jaw. She's going to turn and get on top here. Dern obviously has a formidable guard. But good job by Gillian in working through that, kind of reading it was coming. K-guard. She's going to come up for a knee bar, it looks like. So she's going to try and Robertson keep that weight down on that heel so she doesn't create heel exposure. You can see Dern trying to get her off of her base so she can. Dern's habit of posting her head on the mat, there's nothing wrong with it by itself, but the amount of time she'll spend there is the problem for me. She'll spend a lot of time in mechanically disadvantageous positions when she should be coming up and doing something else. Here we go. Looks like she's trying to peel it for. Good job figure fouring your legs by Robertson. Dern's going to try and peel that. She would have to get the other leg by Robertson to come towards her to peel that open. You can peel a senkaku, a leg triangle, if you take their foot that's sealing it and then bring it across. It opens it up. But, of course, that's hard when you're trying to hold position. You've got reverse half guard here. That's what they call this by Mackenzie Dern. Dern needs to really use some more ground and pound in these interstitial moments to soften her up. Now she's sitting on her chest. This is risky depending on how you want to go. If someone underneath is really squirmy, but the good side is if they're not that squirmy and you sit on their chest, obviously you slow their roll and it becomes very easy to anticipate which way they're going. Now, if you reach for the foot, see if she pulls the foot to her, it's going to unlock the triangle. She has to pull the foot to her. Right? See this with Dern? See what I was trying to tell you? She lets it go, but that's what you do. You pull it up and it unlocks it. Okay, Dern finally takes either mount or three-quarter mount. I can't quite tell. No, more like half guard. And then the round's going to end there. I mean, Dern wins on control, I guess, you know? MK all day. Thank you, Saul. I appreciate you as always. Dern's striking is crispy. Some people level up when they become champions, and she has pedigree. She certainly looks better than Robertson, who just seems outgunned here. Gillian Robertson needs urgency. No path to victory without it. Yeah, you can't just, I mean, can she survive doing this? Seems like she could. Can she win doing this? Dean Thomas trying to help her out, man. All right, here we go. Round 3. Round 3. Dern's wrestling has looked good. It's been well timed, and using that pressure of Robertson against him, and also that 2 to the body left hook that Dern's got looks nice too. Uppercut, dude. Look at these combos from her. These are pretty good. Dern's getting her to chase a little bit. The athleticism difference here is playing a big role. Dude, look at how sluggish Robertson looks. There's that double again, no dice. They tie up. Let's see how Dern deals with this. You got to get them off of your head, man. You cannot let them control your head like this. Okay, this fight sucks. I mean, that's a little strong, but decent right hand from Dern. Mm. Yeah, Dern, we've reached full sparring energy between these two. Robertson's pressure seems to be slowing Dern a little bit now. She's not exactly scoring. Robertson. Well, this round has sucked. Good right hand from Robertson. Here come the Boo Birds, and I don't blame them. Great double. She gets it. About a minute left. Okay. Dern has had some trouble passing guard. So to me, if she's going to have open guard on you, you should get to work on the ground and pound. Instead, she just goes right back into pin and pass mode, which again, I think for the first 2 rounds, fine, no problem, no issue there, but it had limited returns. Okay, now she's going to posture for ground and pound and for passing. Let's see what she can do with it. Not much so far, a little bit. I cannot stand the way she throws the legs to the side. Knee to the body from Dern. That was nice. This is what she should be doing more of. When you got these static control positions, just banging her out like that. Obviously, I'm really in no position to tell either of these women the best way to pass guard. I understand that. Nevertheless, I'm just going to say this. I have seen a lot of people when they stand over or even when they've got one knee up and the other person has an open guard, and what they want to do is they want to get the legs to the side. And depending on what you want, again, you can do a lot of different things. A lot of people will just kind of rotate them over, which will often get them to turn to their base. And maybe you want that. Maybe you want them to create some back exposure. You like the setup there from Turtle or something else like that. That's possible. But if you're actually trying to keep them flat, this is just my personal opinion as a big guy. This was the best way I would pass. Renzo Gracie one time had a statement about making them smell their own knee, where a lot of people will just kind of press the opponent's leg backwards and then try and get to the side. No, dude. You need to pin them with their own leg on the same side. Make it up in their face where you can smell their knee. That is what pins them, and then that enables you to go to the side. If you just kind of rotate the legs over, they can scramble, they can regard. There's a lot of things they can do. Oops, let me get the thing going here. Here we go. Okay, round 4. Is this round 4 of this bullshit ass fight? So in any event, when you just throw him like that to the side, again, maybe she's doing it intentionally, in which case, fine. But if you're trying to keep them flat, I don't. I've personally just never had. The more you pin them with their leg before turning, the better your success rate. That's been my personal experience as a big guy. All right, she can get this takedown, pulls the single. Here she is again, trying to go to half off this tripod passing, and it's just not getting anywhere. Mackenzie, you're gonna have to. There we go. She moves to the back. Let's see what she can do with it. She only has one hook. Robertson doing a good job of preventing the second hook of coming in. Dern's still going to get her, and now gets the second hook. Reaching with your hands to peel hooks, again, you can do it, but there's trade-offs to that. Body triangle for Dern. 4 minutes left in the round. Dern, you got to do something to her. Oh. This one's a little bit. Dude, it's just amazing to me. For all the improvements in Mackenzie Dern's game, and there's been some. Her offensive wrestling looks much better. Her doubles look much better. Her striking overall looks much better. But as you can see, ground and pound is still an issue. As you can see, even with that body triangle, there's daylight on that very thin waist of Robertson. She's very, very thin. So like even at a hard lock on the body lock, it's really not enough to keep her from kind of turning inside of that the axis of what's there. Yeah, those slaps suck, but that's good work. I had a whole video breakdown. It still should be up on the channel, or if it's not, maybe I'll bring it back. Talking about Mackenzie Dern's ground and pound, and it's not quite as much of a misadventure as it once was, but as it's a lagging problem. She's kind of getting to the spot where she's like, "Oh, if I just get it to the ground, my submission prowess takes over." And again, is she better than Gillian Robertson on the ground? Yeah. Oh, Scottish Twister, maybe not quite, not quite. I know we had one earlier, the Charles Johnson fight. But like as you can see, like yeah, like Dern's better on the ground. Like obviously she's better on the ground, but she's not so much better that like submission is an inevitability, right? She can sit here and survive and then defend Robertson here, and oh here we go, some 12-6 elbows. Those are cool. Here comes Robertson trying to get up. She might because Dern's kind of bad in these scrambles. She's gonna see if she can go to the back here. Nope. Dern gets on top, or excuse me, Robertson gets on top. Minute 17 left. Let's see what she can do. Dern's got it. She's going to frame for an armbar here. Let's see if she can get it. She might go to a triangle. She might go to K guard. Let's see. Gillian doing the right thing. You can see she's wrapping the arm up that's under threat. She's locking it down with this arm. Actually, she's more like on the wrist. And now she's lost it, actually. If Dern can extend here, she's in good shape. As you can see, look at Robertson chopping down the hamstring there of Dern, kind of keeping her compressed, right? She loses it. She's going to transition to a knee bar. She's going to try to. Going to have to. This is better for Robertson. These are good. These are real good. Probably still Dern's round. Yeah, who knows? Herb getting annihilated when Buff introduces him. I mean, kind of earned it. If only these ladies had Jalen Turner's power. More like his accuracy, less his power. I'm not saying that Joe Rogan needs to be taken out to pasture, but he now often says a choke is in and it's over, and it isn't. I have done this as well. My goat may be washed. Luke, who are some conservative commentators you respect? We're not doing politics tonight, guys. We're not doing that tonight. I know we do it often on this channel, but we don't do it on Fight Night broadcast. I really, really, really don't want to do it. I know I mentioned the Anderol thing, but I really shouldn't have. You seem extra harsh towards Dern. Is it because of her credentials? You expect more? Yes, I expect more. Yes. Yes. Hard to tell if Dern has improved that much or Jillian's nerves have killed her. Also, Dern much bigger. Zhang would kill both. Yeah. All right, here we go. Round 5. Let's do it. Those body kicks by Dern have been pretty nice. Robertson gets double unders. Yep, up against the fence. Dern underhooks. Now we're at 50-50. Let's see if she can turn her from the underhook side. It's a shallow underhook, so maybe not. This fight sucks. This fight sucks. She's trying to get a single. She's got her hands grasped. She might. Let's see. She does. Dern even holds the fence. Good job by Robertson. All right, let's see what she can do here. She's on top. Chael Sonnen just sent me a video. God only knows what Uncle Chael's got for me. I don't know. We'll have to see. All right. Robertson's on top here. Open guard. Kind of getting a little bit going. Not much. I'm not sure what to say. Robertson posturing up, trying to pass, can't get past. You can see that the left leg of Dern is still there. And now she's going to potentially go to K guard here. And might roll underneath. Let's see. Yep, sure is. But you're up against the fence. It's going to be hard to. Okay, you're turning a little bit now. She can still get it. But it certainly makes it hard. Dern just electing to play the bottom here. And now we're back to full guard. Yay. Some decent ground and pound with these elbows from Robertson. Decent-ish. I mean, not a lot happening, fellas. I mean, Dern doing a good job of keeping her guard between her, obviously, and Robertson as like useful in a variety of contexts defensively. Not a whole lot going offensively. Yeah, this fight was some ass. First two rounds were kind of fun, but after that, it just kind of settled into nothing. I appreciate that Robertson is kind of putting it on her here a little bit towards the end. Not much, a little bit. It's too little, too late. She'll probably take the round. Should have done this from the beginning. Dern rolling again for a knee bar. It's probably not going to be there. All right, nice round for Robertson. You know, she ended on a strong note, but so what? All right, let me see. I'm going to mute my microphone. Let's see what Chael had to say to me. Old Uncle Chael. Let's see. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. It was a nice message from Chael and BC. Hell yeah. Shouts to those two. Fucking legends. All right. Well, the co-main event is over and it sucked ass. Dern should win 3-2 or 4-1 at the worst. Oh, sorry, 4-2. I'm sorry, 4-1 or 3-2 at the worst. Can't imagine that there's 3 for Jill or 2 for Gillian, but there could be. Who knows? Who knows? That sucked. That was boring. That was uninteresting. There's Tiki Gosen with Mackenzie's daughter. Here come the horn dogs. Uncle Chael catches BC in the bathroom stall. This is the elite MMA guys, and Dana isn't political. That's right. That's right. This is the best of the best. This is worse than Rose Carlin. No, it's not worse. No, it's just a sort of standardly boring fight. Any news on Kayla Harrison? I fucking wish. All right, here's your decision. $249.46 is $148.47. Mackenzie Dern wins. Dana wearing jeans to the UFC tonight. Here's Joe Rogan. Who cares? Can I be honest? Can I be honest about that? Who cares? So she's working her wrestling so she can be well-rounded. Good body kicks from Dern. I'll say that. I mean, Dern. There's parts of her game that are obviously, very respectable. The improvement is real in most cases. But the inability to pass tonight was very surprising. And then the one thing that's been really, really kind of lingering as an issue is the ground and pound. That has been an issue. BC's pants have never been tighter. How checked out is Uncle Dana? I mean, they set up a power slap thing in the middle of the octagon. Maybe he'll check back in, but he seems like he is fucking over this shit. I know you're a feminist, but this is horrid. I'm not sure what this means exactly, but yeah, I've been the first one saying it's horrid. You can be nice to women and then also just be honest about fight quality. The two are not mutually exclusive. There's Proches smoking a cig like a real man. There's Patty, the fatty. Oh, eating the cheesesteak. I had that cheesesteak when I was there last time at Angelo's. I've not had the cheesesteak at John's Roast Pork, which everyone says is great. There's Justin Gaethje and some other fucking guy. I don't know who that is. A lot of guys with Abraham Lincoln beards. I'm guessing some of them are from Dagestan, but not all of them. Not all of them. All right. Well, we've gotten through the parts of this card that are just not that interesting. And now we're at the part of this card that is, well, really all of this card, the main event. We're looking at some betting lines here for the champ Islam Makhachev. We did a tape study on my Substack about this fight, but it was mostly, well, almost entirely on the Ian Garry side. We watched his last 3 fights as well as a Craig Jones kind of instructional. And I think the conclusion I came to is this is why I think Garry can win. He can, I mean, I don't think it really takes a genius to say he can be defensively very frustrating. I mean, obviously, that is true. The thing that I would say is offensively on tape, there are ways in which he can score. He lands a head kick in what fight was that? Was that the Rachmanov fight? It was in one of them. No, it was the Prochest fight where he landed. Now he had the hand up, but like if he didn't, it was going to send him into a bad place. So like some of the hand and feet combinations of Garry are a threat. But the real point I wanted to make was it didn't seem like there was anything necessarily on tape where you could be like, aha, this is an area offensively where he's going to be able to dominate. Now, again, at range, I think he'll do well. But I mean, like, hurt Islam, get him to change what he's doing, sustain it over time, because a lot of it's going to be movement too. It's kind of that part I didn't quite see on tape. But the thing I'll say is, like, Garry is 28. He's just entering his physical prime. And when guys are like that, dude, sometimes they can still add big leaps into their game between fights. You know, this is, to me, dude, if Islam goes in there and beats the fuck out of this guy, that is, to me, going to be one of the most insanely impressive things I will have seen a UFC champion do in quite some time. And conversely, if Ian Garry goes in there, you just beat the pound-for-pound #1 guy in the sport. You won your belt against certainly the entire sport, quite literally booing you. And again, he doesn't do it. I mean, who knows what might happen here in the next fight, but typically he does not do it with like vicious striking or lights out subs or violent ground and pound. He does it by kind of scoring and moving. It's a very, very tough challenge for him. It's a tough challenge for Islam. I fucking love this fight. And I don't say that because I think, oh, this fight is gonna guaranteed be action packed. I don't know if it'll be action packed. It may not be. But what I do know is that the chess match for one guy to win, unless we're really over or underestimating someone, should be significant here. And for that reason, I'm pretty excited. Is Dana wearing perfect jeans? I don't know, but we'll be talking about them later. I know that. Dern has made the improvements in the past 2 years that she should have made 5 to 6 years ago. I think that's right. Like, there's no denying she's clearly better. Clearly better. Clearly has been working hard on a lot of the deficiencies. But it's like, took a while for those corners to get rounded, and you can still see there are some left that they may just go untreated. Seashank just handing out memberships like a mensch. Go get them. You weren't kidding. There were fighters coming off losses on main card, both Mansour and Dustin. Totally unbelievable. UFC really doesn't care. And they're booking a lot of squash matches too. I think it's a way to introduce fun into an otherwise lackluster card, right? Because someone was asking why they're doing more squash matches. And like part of the reason why you would do them is to set up a guy to make him look good. Part of it is to engineer a little bit of fun into a card, but there's like a degree to which you kind of have to modulate. You don't want to do it too much, otherwise it just becomes unpalatable. And I think that they're kind of risking how much they're doing. But the other thing I think they might be doing is like, listen, we just got to fill out these cards. Like, we're going to fucking Belgrade. We're just going to put some donks on there. Set it up in such a way where you can get a bunch of finishes. You know, again, you never really know. It's like matchmaking is part design, it's part luck. But to the extent that you can design it, just do it around that. So that way it's like, oh yeah, the cards weren't great, but you got a bunch of finish, or the fighters aren't notable. The fights themselves may not mean much in many cases, but you got a bunch of finishes. So shouldn't you be happy about that? There's Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia, 2 loathsome zeros. How many times do you think Garcia called him the N-word? Right? A bunch, right? If Ian wins, torch can be passed in Irish MMA. Yeah. Yeah. Did you see Dana at the press conference yesterday when asked about whose arm and opponent was supposed to be? Like, hey, MMA media, Dana hates you. He was like, I think he was like, yeah, what did he say? Something to the effect of like, either don't worry about it or whatever happened doesn't matter, move on. Like something like completely checked out from it in every possible way. Yeah, he's mega checked out on this kind of shit. mega checked out. This is just not the thing he used to do. He used to like invigorate the product, or at least attempt to invigorate the product. And now he's just kind of like telling you to be passively accepting of it. You know. Can we now accept Tom Holland best Spider-Man ever? I've not seen the new Spider-Man, but I hear it's really good, and I don't think the competition is that stiff. Was it Andrew Garfield, and then what the fuck's his name? You know, you get to see Spider-Man or the Odyssey. I did see the Odyssey. I've not seen Spider-Man. I did see the Odyssey. I saw the Odyssey in IMAX. I thought it was good, not great. Here's the best part about this Ian Gary fight. I like Islam. I think very highly of him. I think very highly of his ability. I think very highly of his team's ability. I think very highly of their accomplishment. I'd love to see him make history in getting the win streak record. Dana White was saying he would break the title defense record. No, he would not, because Anderson Silva does not own the title defense record. John Jones owns the title defense record. So he would not break that, but he would break that one. And to get, again, to me, to beat a number one contender up a weight class, just something most champs never even get fucking close to, this would be an enormous achievement. But as I've been saying this whole time, Ian Gary is not cool to me, but the amount of hate he gets for the fictionalized reasons that low IQ fucking morons imagine that are there would make him winning and make their heads explode just one of the most delightful possibilities ever. So either way, I feel like I get something out of tonight. I would prefer Islam to win. It'd be very cool to see him win. But if Gary wins, the absolute dumbest people in this industry are going to be upset about it, and that is going to be wonderful to see. Look at the mat burn on fucking Islam's knees. Jesus Christ. Bro, you ever get mat burn, and then, you know, when you're done with the day, you don't think too much of it. You know, it burns a little bit, but you're fine. And then you get in the shower, and that shit stings. Oh, it stings. If Islam, man, if he goes in here and handles this guy, I mean, I honestly think that if Islam wins, he won't handle him. So if he goes in there and handles Ian Gary, shit, bro. I mean, you know, Morales is a different test than Ian Gary. But if you can pass an Ian Gary test, like how complicated and thorough you have to be to do that, how complicated the task is and how thorough you have to be amazing. Amazing. Ian wins and becomes the white knight we all need. I'm not sure what that means. Hopefully that's not racial. I think we'll see Opataya versus Benavidez under Zuffa. Maybe. Right now they're kind of acting like a normal promotion, especially if the Ali Act doesn't get changed this year. It's possible. Yeah. It's spelled Spider-Man, you donks. That's right. Spider-Man, as they say in France. Thanks for the stream, Luke. Been so long since the last one. I almost forgot to look for this today. Did you discuss the Johnson sub already? Genuinely seen nothing like it in a while. Let me pull up the... Coming out to Layla. Yeah, I mean, see, he's a fucking tryhard. You know, it kind of kills me. All right, let's see here. Oh, the Scottish Twister. Yes, we discussed it a little bit. Yes, I put money on Gary. If he loses, it'll be worth it. If he wins, at least I get money. Yes, I've done that a million times. Where it's like I want my team to win, but I'll bet. Well, I'm not bet, but like, you know, I don't do that. But like, you know, kind of hedge, being like, I've seen friends like, oh, put $5 down on the team that you hate. Either way, you win. You know, is if Islam wins, is his run better than Anderson's? Well, all of Anderson's were title fights, so not exactly. But this is also two weights. So Anderson's run also was two weights, but not like this. I mean, he beat Forrest Griffin, he beat Stephen Bonner. Those were 205 fights. Was the James Irvin fight 205? I can't remember. But in any case, like it's a little different, but getting this one at this stage is fucking big. Ian Garry is annoying as fuck. This is true. He is definitely annoying. I don't disagree with that. That is in fact a true statement. It was him and Carlos. Really enjoyed the preview of the card on MK. The Luke, Chuck, and Jed trio was excellent. Yeah, we had a good time. Thank you. We had a very good time with that. We had a fun time. Love how Ian has rage baited MMA fans with cringe. It's so true. So true. He's like, I'm going to make you guys upset with the dumbest shit imaginable. And it worked. Islam versus Strickland at 85. I would pick Strickland. I think Strickland's probably a little too big. Yeah. Is that a cheating song? I don't think so. All right. Who are you rooting for in the main event? I'm not really rooting. I think Islam will win. I'd be cool with either guy winning. Like, may the best man win. I'd be cool to see Islam win. I think Islam breaking history is amazing. But I don't think lightly of Ian Garry's ability. I think very highly. I mean, I don't, is he annoying? Annoying as shit. But he's good. He's very, very good. Ian wins third round TKO, picking him apart at range. Brother, if he does that, that would surprise me a little bit. If he was able to do something like, not win, but this. If he's able to do something like this, that would be insane. Truly, that would be insane. Got a lot of riding on himself. I like how much he's hated. I do. I like that he pisses everybody off. I think it's fucking great. Of course, someone like me would think that, but you know what I mean. I mean, he looks confident, right? All right, here comes the champ. I've been waiting for this one. Crowd's going nuts for Islam. There he is. There's Habib right with him. Javier Mendez. That's a hell of a fucking team right there, boy. Here he comes. He looks calm too. Hell yeah, dude. This fight's going to be sick. I think the IQ on this one is going to be super high. Second chance for Charles's team at Islam. Kind of in a sense. Yeah. Ian Garry's about to school a modern Star Wars. What? I'm not sure I understand that one. I'm going to vape a little bit. I haven't vaped in a long time, but I felt like it today. As you can see, I haven't done it in a long time. Ian Garry is about as cool as modern Star Wars. Yeah, he's not my favorite. But I respect the shit out of his game, and I love how hated he is. Oh, I love that shit. Y'all know me. As someone who has his fair share of critics, I fucking love the other ones like that in the sport. And not even the reasons why okay. There are plenty of good reasons to dislike him too, right? There's dumb reasons and then there's like justifiable ones. There's a whole range of them. It's not even that exactly. It's just how much he is so different from the expectations. Here comes this fucking beast. All right, there he is. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. A pink American flag with Islam Makhachev on it? What is that? What the fuck is that? What is Manny Matches on tour? What the fuck is that? What are half of these signs? All right, let's do this, boys. All right, tail of the tape 34 versus 28, 5'10 versus 6'3. They're both 170. 4.5 inch reach advantage for Machado GARRY. He's going to need it at a plus 290 dog if he wants to pull the upset here. 20, 28-1 versus 17-1. That's a legit fucking fight right there. For a UFC title, that's legit. Very legit. Here's Buff. And of course, your standard reminder, we're going to do the post-fight show as soon as the main event is over on this stream. So don't go anywhere, okay? What's up? What's up? Love that Islam comes out. It's some kind of Russian EDM or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't know the significance of it. Hopefully the feeling out process isn't too long. Islam is careful. He is definitely very careful, but he's not super slow with his offense. Hope Gary wins just to see the comments. With that said, Islam by decision. By the way, Luke, gaming recommendation, Marvel Tokon, nice fighting game. Duly noted. Duly noted. I'm always looking for a fun fighting game. Looks like a decent crowd there. They're calling it sellout. I don't know if it's quite a sellout. I do see some empty seats, but who knows? Decent crowd, no matter what. I like the drone shots that they use, sort of, but the camera quality is so bad relative to the other camera quality that it kind of doesn't work for me. Dude, we did this on the look at Ian Gary. We did this on the tape study where he touches Buff. There it is. Oh my god. Get your fucking hands off of him. And they might touch foreheads too. Let's see. Do they touch foreheads? Let's see. Yep. Did I call it? Or did I call it? I can't stand that shit. Very, very close talker energy. Look at Islam. He doesn't do none of that shit, bro. He doesn't pull none of that shit. He's going to shoulder pop while he shadow boxes. I got to say, Islam's cauliflower ear is not that bad. I never really noticed. I mean, he's got some, but it's not terrible. A little bit worse in his left ear than his right. All right. Here comes the face-off. Herb Dean is your referee. He's been getting booed all night, by the way. Islam definitely looks all of 5'10". Ian Gary all of 6'2" or 6'3". Okay. Here we fucking go. All right. 5 rounds if we need them, boys. Jesus, both these guys look so calm. Let's do it. Open stance for most of this. So let's see what Islam does on these singles. And if he does, is it head inside or head outside? That's going to be a key battle. Garry's footwork, you can see he's a little flat-footed right now. Inside leg kick from Islam lands. Garry tries to respond with a right, doesn't get it, too far away. They're both pawing from open stance off their lead hand. They're trying to get a rhythm on the other guy. Ian Garry's not really biting, moving a little bit, kind of standing more still than I thought he would. Head kick from Islam blocked. Islam on a single, head outside. Let's see what he does. Tries to turn the corner, but the foot's in the middle. Oh, my God. Islam trapped the foot in the middle. Garry's trying to come out the side here. Oh, my goodness. That was so fucking... Dude, did you guys see how Islam wrapped it up off his arm and then trapped it from his leg and then used that to turn Garry over? That was ridiculous. Let's see how Garry can do here. He gives up his back. Islam's going to put the shoulder behind the head here to maybe roll him through. Puts him to his hand. Garry gets to the fence. Let's see. Let's see what he can do here. Now, Garry's got very good takedown defense, especially along the fence line. I understand we're dealing with Islam Makhachev, but historically speaking, Garry has been reasonably strong here. Garry gets his leg swept by Islam. He catches it, but he's not going to be able to keep it. So as soon as he tries to knee there, you saw that Garry tries to stand off that knee. Garry is typically good about getting elbows to wedge between underhooks, but right now Islam's got him so tied up. There's no way he can do that. Islam doing a good job of getting him to wrestle to his hands. That's the goal of this position, or at least one of the goals, is to get him to wrestle to the hands. There he goes. He sweeps the leg out, and now he's going to try and hang. Garry doing a pretty good job of avoiding most of the worst so far. But unfortunately for Garry, he can't fight the hands right now or right his posture. Islam doing a really good job forcing him over. Switches to the outside hip. Switches to the inside hip now. Now he's to the outside hip again. Garry's standing a little bit. He's got to get that. See, look at the chest wrap that Islam has. That's preventing the left arm of Garry from getting in between. Now, of course, if your hands are occupied, you're not punching. There you saw him. Garry tried to get the elbow in, and as soon as he did, you see how Islam wrestles top and bottom at the same time? Islam wrestling up to the top and then scooping with the leg at the bottom. He's trying to do this to create some kind of opening. He's going to try and ride that leg. Garry doing a good job of avoiding the worst. Now, you can see a loose underhook here. Islam might be baiting it. That's interesting. Now you can see the elbow starting to wedge for Garry. See that? And that's going to help him to break the hands, at least in theory. Garry typically pretty good about breaking the hands. Garry now off of his hands, not wrestling to them. This is better for him. But, man, I would imagine breaking Islam's grip is going to be tough. Also, Islam did not expend a ton of energy this round. Oh, nice elbow to the arm by Garry. That's pretty good. Those hurt. You saw, who did that? Jan did it to Merab, I think. Yep, it hurts. Okay, Herb Dean telling him to work, which I agree with. Locked hands like this, you should be able to do something with it. You shouldn't just be able to hold locked hands the whole round. Garry almost got it off, but Islam resecures. Islam putting himself between Garry and the fence. That's smart. A lot of times guys try to attack the outside hip, but this is a way for him to, there's another method of control that takes away the fence from Gary's ability to press into it. Not an eventful first round. Makhachev might win 10-9 on that one, just kind of wearing him out. But good defense from Gary, right? That's kind of what we expected. Sort of, kind of like that a little bit. Gary standing between rounds. You heard him say you can't hang out in front of him. Did I not mention that you didn't see Gary moving like he was needing to in that first round? He was kind of facing off with Islam. You can't be doing that. All right, here we go. Round 2. Let's do it. Round 2. Here's Gary firing his first head kick, and finally his back leg stomp. I wonder if he's a little hesitant to use the lead leg stomp. Check by Gary. Look at these level changes from Islam, man. Gary tried to time that level change. You see that? Gary's got to get something going here. He's waiting too long. See that? There we go. Gary's still standing in front of him. See this? His coach was like, don't do this. You got to move a little bit, brother. Oof. Uppercut right hook from Islam misses, but it was thrown with bad intentions. Gary waiting too long, man. Waiting too long. Waiting too long. He had a lower posture for Bilal than he does for Islam. Check again from Gary. Oh, body kick from Gary. That was nice. He went high before. This time he goes to the body. Yes, Islam blocked it, but he's switching up targeting. That's better. But now he's getting systematically backed up a little bit here. He's got to move off these jabs, man. Left hand misses for Islam. Now Gary is behind the black line. There we go. As he pushes him out. Okay, stop dapping these fucking guys up, Ian Gary. He did that shit to Carlos Praches constantly. Dap him up when the fight's over. It may have been a clash of heads. Gary trying to press into him off the clinch. Let's see how this goes. He presses Islam back. Islam has the tie plumb. Ian Gary with an underhook, 50-50. Tight pressure with the head. Islam separates. Oh! Kicks Ian Gary in the head. Great shot off the clinch break. Great shot off the clinch break. Oh, and Islam's on his ass now. Oh, beautiful head and arm throw. Got him moving into it. Oh, my God. And now he's got him what's called scarf hold. He might armbar him here. Oh, he gives it up. Okay. Man. Just whipped him over like a fucking rag doll. Dude, Islam is a fucking beast, bro. It passed his guard like it was nothing. Jesus. Islam is a fucking hammer. Islam is a fucking hammer. There's so many different... Dude, if he's got his hands on you and you're moving, there are so many trips, throws. Oh, my God. Islam's so fucking good. Ian Gary is like waiting around too long. He's not sticking and moving. And you're gonna go on the ground with Islam. Good fucking luck, bro. You're gonna need it. I should say Gary recaptures half guard. That's something. I mean, that's still a pretty bad place to be, but I suppose it's better than side control, although that's somewhat debatable. And Islam's top pressure is dynamite. All right. He might have that Darce. Gary's got to check for it. He's trying to come through. Lets it go. He got almost cradled there. Oh, he's got 2-on-1. Oh, tried to take the back. Oh, look at that squeeze he's got. He still has it. Gary can reach across and throw him here. No, knees are up. There it is. Move into him, Gary. Move into him. 2 rounds to nothing for Islam Makhachev. Look at this. Head kick. Boom. Off the clinch break. Boom. Look at his hands down on the clinch break. Islam is so fucking dangerous, man. Bro, if Ian Gary wants to win this, man, you're going to let this guy just get going. You're not putting anything in front of him. It's not going to work. So they're going to go back to the takedown wisely, it looks like, in the corner of Islam. All right, round 3 coming up. It's like, Gary, you got to get something going here, fella. All right, round 3. Here we go. Gary's not moving. Gary is 4-0 again against southpaws. Keep that in mind in the UFC. Islam's got good feints. Look at Gary. Flat on his fucking feet. There we go. That's better. You better throw, son. Yeah, Joe Rogan's right. The lack of movement by Gary is surprising. Boy, he's going to look at this tape and be like, what the fuck was I thinking? Maybe Gary's moving less because he wants to conserve energy late, right? He thinks he can hang on and Islam will fade. I don't know. Gary, it's 3:30 into the round. Throw something. How do you expect to beat Islam Makhachev with this little amount of offense? Right? He doesn't want to get taken down. Well, how is this superior? Look at how wide Gary's stance is. Check. Gary, how are you not throwing, dog? It's not even that I want Gary to win. Again, I'm happy to see Islam win. It's just I don't want to. Why is Gary fighting like this? Fight to your potential. Fight using the weapons that you have. Look at him flat-footed like this, dog, and barely even throwing. What are his numbers going to be in this fight? They're going to be fucking anemic. There's off that single, head outside. Gary's typically, he trapped the other one. Do you see that? He sweeps out the other one. That's exactly what he did the first time on these head outside singles. He pulls the leg out from the other one. That's what he does. Oh, Gary gets out. Now he's got the back. Standing. That was better for Gary. All right. Gary got up. All right. All right. Criticism partly retracted. You still got to get something going. Now Gary is, I don't know if I could call it stalking, but he's got center of cage. Brother, you have got to throw. You defended the takedown. That's great. You got to do something else. There's a body kick for Gary. That was better. Stance switch, right hook. Good shot to the body by Islam. Gary still, I can't believe Gary's not moving like that. This is certainly a better round for Gary. Oh, head kick that got partially blocked by Islam, but that was a good shot by Gary. Now they're playing a little bit more Gary's game. If Gary can put a few more of these together, he could maybe steal this round. That kick to the front leg of Islam, that's good. This is better. This is better by Gary. Islam tries to club, can't get it. Stop dapping him up. Good body kick from Gary. Tell you what. I don't understand exactly. I mean, it has to be a concerted decision to move like this. Or to not move like this. These spinning attacks he does at the end of these rounds, I fucking hate. They never land. Could be 2-1. Could be 2-1. What do you think, gang? Could be 2-1. Diving for the legs. What a coward. Connor was right. Okay. Is the well-rounded explosiveness of Islam the best we've ever seen? The way he and Habib combine that with technique looks impossible to deal with. Yes, they've got great physicality. Yeah, the shoulder's too far, you can see. And so Gary just kind of comes around and sits the corner. You pull the guy forward, and then you just turn to the other side. Right? Pulls him forward, and he just comes around just like that. Oop. Gary is happy to just be safe, not get finished. Well, he tried a little bit more in that round. Let's see what he got this one. All right. Round 4. Could be 2-1. Could be 2-1. Here we go. Round 4. Gary has center of cage. They're still just pawing from open stance. Gary got a longer guard. You can see Islam's guard's a little closer. Gary playing a little bit of a longer game. Good body kick from Gary. Check from that. Gary's got that slight check on that calf kick on the inside. He's been doing it the whole fight. Oh, Islam tried to come over the top with that right hook. It kind of peeled off the shoulder of Gary. Garry misses with the right hand. Not the highest pace on this fight, but it's like any wrong. There it is. There's Islam on the head outside. Garry, let's see what he does. Tries to sit the corner again. Let's see if he can do it. I don't know if he can do it this time. He might be able to. I think he's gonna. He's got to get that left arm out. He's got to get it in front and cross face Islam. There it is. Just like that. That's what he needed. Oh, he let it go. He let it go. Oh, but he might be able to sprawl here. Let's see. Let's see. Crackdown. No, now he's going to get it. He's going to run him straight back. That time he's going to get it. There we go. That's a great job by Islam. Islam gets to the back. Let's see what he can do with it. Tries to take it. Garry stands. Islam's a little high. His foot is in the cage. Garry's pointing to his foot being trapped in the cage. His foot is in the cage. There. Man, Islam's got to be tough here when he's got double unders like this from the back. All right, you can see Garry's trying to wedge. All right, see him wedge. Okay, Garry's trying to pull up on that, but he has to be careful pulling up like this because you can get taken for a ride if you're not careful. Boy, you can see, dude, breaking Islam's grip is very difficult to do. Very difficult to break his grip. Tries to get Garry up, but he comes right back down. He gets him to his hands, but here comes Garry. I gotta say, he's not. I mean, I guess these knees to the thigh are doing something. When I say that, I mean like for scoring points for the judges. So Garry's inability to break the grip, which usually is not a problem for him, is becoming a problem against Islam. Yeah, Garry's got to swing the other way. There it is, just like that. That's better. These are some decent shots by Garry, but he's still getting pressed the whole time. Bro, Islam can't get this dude down. I mean, Ian Garry's takedown defense is legit. Oh, man. Islam trying to get him down. Garry's ability to get his hips to the floor, to face the floor, is fantastic. Well, he's making Islam work for this one. These are good. These are decent shots to the body for Garry, I suppose. Surely he's not going to jump for a guillotine here. Surely. I've never seen someone shut down Makhachev's takedowns like this. Well, maybe I might have to take that one back. I'm not so sure. But in any event, a very good job. The issue is he can't break his hands. That's really the issue. He can't break his hands. For your content's sake, complain once and move on. I can't do that, my friend. I'm just not good enough for that. He's just standing and admiring Islam's work. Need more of a Yan game plan versus Merab, more jab and body work. I agree. So it looks to me like it's 3-1 heading into the fifth. I think Garry's going to need a finish. Ian does have an enigmatic aura. Like, he could be so cool, but he is so weird. He is still a stone cold killer. He's just also a gullible dipshit. Yeah, maybe so. Islam's just a stalling bozo at the end of the day. There's a lot of stalling here. I kind of agree. The referee has to kind of push the action. All right, here we go. Round 5. Stop dapping him up. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Stop dapping him up. Let's do it. Good body kick from Gary. Double jab, left hand, misses for Makhachev. He nearly eats a right hand from Gary. He missed it, but Ian Gary's opening a little bit more. Oh, good right hand from Gary. Another body kick from Gary. Gary's winning this round so far. Islam's in on a head outside single. Crackdown. Gary's standing. Islam's behind him with his hands clasped. Let's see if Herb does anything about the stalling here. All right, Gary gets to face him. This is better. Ian gets taken down. Oh, good job off that trip by and he's about to get flattened out by Islam, who has the back now. That was really nice by Islam. Very tricky. I feel like Islam is going to try and hold this the rest of the round. He doesn't have a body triangle, but I think he's going to try and hold this. And now he's got the body triangle. I think Islam's about to park the bus, y'all. Oh, his ribs are fucking toast. Look at those. Those kicks from Gary doing a number on him. Yeah, I think he's parking the bus, gang. Man, look at the control time per round. 338, 219, 16, 305, 133, and counting in round 5. Yeah, that's going to be it. Islam is probably not going to lock this up, and Gary isn't even close to getting out of this. I mean, maybe he can press off the cage and try to get some kind of roll here. I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah, that's going to be that. That's going to be that. So you know what? We'll talk about this in the post-fight show. That went kind of mostly to expectation is what I would say. Mostly to expectation. Yeah. So Islam's going to win that one 4-1, I think. I mean, maybe there's a 3-2 in there, but that's probably a 4-1. Well, don't worry, Ian Garry haters. He didn't get it done. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't stick around. We're going to do the post-fight show here in a minute. We're going to do the post-fight show. This will be a lot of fun. They got these dumbass fucking movies they're making us watch. What'd y'all think? Here's what I think. My initial reaction, right? My initial reaction. That is a very good win by Islam. A very good win. That's a very tough win that he had to get up against a very skilled competitor. But because he couldn't, this is one of the worries that we had. Gary's defense is going to be so strong that Islam's going to be just ahead of him, but not really able to advance the attack all that much. And that's basically what you got, right? That's basically what you got. And so I think people might undersell the value of this win. This win to me was not aesthetically pleasing, and it was not necessarily the height of interesting in all the ways that maybe it could have been for people this skilled. But as a defensive battle, and the level of skill that Islam had to show against a guy like this up a weight class, very, very special. All right, let's get this official decision. I'm going to say what, 49-46, right? Yep. Two of them. 148-47. Islam Makhachev defeats Ian Garry 49-46, 49-46, 48-47. He retains the UFC welterweight title. And here's Ian Garry, just who won't stop talking. Just do less of that. Here's Islam and Joe Rogan. He had a lot of respect for Garry, but he says, I still proved in this match. Says he was surprised he was able to. Oh, look at that sweep of the post leg. That was so sick. Boom, that head kick. He thanks everyone who supported him. He's able to get everyone down. Didn't really ask him any questions about Anderson Silva, or just kind of like, was it hard? There's Usman Nurmagomedov. Let's hear from Ian. I'm next. There's, God, dude, Garry won't stop talking. What the fuck? All right, here's Ian Garry. Says he has nothing but respect for Islam. No complaints, no excuses. He won, he says. Taking the loss well. Okay, Volk didn't just win a title at 38, Ian. He's speaking Portuguese. I'm not sure what he's saying. Says he apologizes to Ireland, but he stands here as a man proud of what he's done. To all the fans, he goes, I'll be back. I think he said, I don't need any of you. I could be wrong about that. Okay. Okay. Oh, he's dapping up Usman Nurmagomedov. Ian Garry is. All right. Okay. That is done. That is done. So, okay, we'll come back to some of this. Okay. It's time for the post-fight show. So, we got a few things we got to get to. Let's discuss everything we just saw. Let's go from the main event to the co-main event to some of the other highlights from that card. Okay? The UFC 330 post-fight show starts now. Okay, let me do this so we can get this going, but y'all know how this goes. Okay, boys and girls, our friends at The Perfect Gene are with us long-term, and you guys know I love this partner. I love them so much. Their jeans actually fit me, which is rare for a big guy of my stature. You know why? Because they're comfortable, and by the way, they look great. The Perfect Gene has freaking nailed it. They have the look and feel of real jeans, but they move with you. They stretch where you need them to stretch, but they don't feel stiff or restrictive. Honestly, they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever owned. That's the pitch, donks. They look great, they fit great, and they feel great. Get The Perfect Gene for 15% off with the code LukeLive15. That's LUKELIVE15 at theperfectgene.nyc/LukeLive15. That's theperfectgene.nyc/LukeLive15 and use the code LukeLive, LukeLive15, LUKELIVE15 for 15% off. Check the link in the description and pinned comment and go get yourself a pair. Trust me on this one. All right? Big thanks to our friends at The Perfect Gene. Let me get a tweet up about this so that everyone knows to join me. I'm ready to do the post-fight show. Okay. All right. Does that, I'm going to put up a tweet to get this going. Does that win make Islam Makhachev the GOAT of MMA all time? Let's talk about it now on my post-fight show. Link below. Whoop, whoop. Okay. I'm going to turn that off. All right. Who, boys and girls? Been a while since I've done one of these. I'm a little rusty. Okay. Let's put that over here. Let's put that over here. I want to see these stats here in just a minute. But first, let's get to these results, shall we? All right. Time to do it. If you have a comment or a question, we'll go through some of these fights, and then for a Q&A period, we'll do that at the end. If you'd be so kind as to leave a donation, we'll use the question in the donation as part of the Q&A process, okay? So if you got a question, you got a comment for the Q&A portion, please put in something into the super chat. It's a great way to support the channel. You don't have to, but it's a fun little way to keep the channel supported, okay? All right. We get a drink. Let's begin. Islam Makhachev defeats Ian Machado GARRY via unanimous decision, 49-46, 49-46, 48-47. I'd be curious to see the scorecards to see which of the other. So GARRY probably won round 3. I think is pretty fair. I'd be curious to see which of the other rounds the one judge gave GARRY. But in any event, Islam Makhachev wins. Okay, now with that win, let's set the terms here. Islam is the first fighter in UFC history to win 17 consecutive UFC fights. This breaks Anderson's record, which stood for basically 13 years. And of course, now he's got title defenses in 2 weight classes. And according to UFC stats, heading into the final round, significant strikes landed were dead even at 22 each, but Makhachev had nearly 10 minutes of control, 5 takedowns, and a knockdown to go with it. There's a lot to say about this one in terms of its significance. There's a lot to say about the fight itself. Let's start with the fight itself, and then I think we'll talk about some of the significance. We had some concerns that this fight was not every fight that the UFC should make is always going to deliver action, and not every fight that the UFC makes is going to deliver like the greatest amount of history or just be super satisfying in every way. Sometimes it's very, very important for the UFC to make a certain kind of fight for the purposes of the sport's architecture. And that's really what this was. Islam Makhachev's on his own journey, which we'll talk about and contextualize in a moment. But here he was in a title defense, up a weight class, and Ian GARRY was just the guy who had, up to this point, most deserved it. But there was no one clamoring per se for a Makhachev versus GARRY matchup. The people weren't thinking, wow, you get those two together, you're going to get fireworks. Like you would, for example, I think most people, if you put Carlos Praches and Michael Morales together, you know, that seems like that would be dynamite. One doesn't know for sure, but the chances of that are pretty high. The expectations were not that on this one. This was a different problem. This was, could a guy in Ian GARRY, who has developed, by the way, obviously naturally bigger, naturally longer, you know, just a true welterweight. Could a guy like that, who was very defensively stout, what kind of problems ultimately could a guy like that give Makhachev? And, you know, in the tape study, we went over this on my Substack and other places. If you look at the tape study, the thing that shows about GARRY is that he has, as I indicated, takedown defense is good. He's hard to hurt with striking, although he got dropped in this one because he got lazy off the clinch break. But in general, it's hard to hit him directly. It's hard to hurt him. It's hard to put a sustained attack on him. And in general, that is what you saw today. For the most part, you saw GARRY to a degree controlled and to a degree overwhelmed in the grappling, but not really. He was controlled up to a point. He was, you know, physically moved around up to a point. He was dominated to a degree, but up to a point. And in many ways, this fight kind of met the expectations that everybody had. And again, those expectations were not necessarily for the most fun or the most action or the most amount of like something you could chew on and like, you know, think about for days after, like what Justin Gaethje did, for example, to Ilia Topuria. You know, there wasn't we weren't necessarily expecting that. We were asking, could Makhachev solve the problem? Right? Like, what can he do when he has to give up to a degree natural size? What can he do when he has to give up natural range? And what can he do against a guy who's very youthful, 6 years younger than him, who has incredibly stout defense? And those expectations, as I indicated, I think that's how the fight largely played out. I think the reality for Ian GARRY after watching this is something we knew before, but it got fully tested here. He has built a game off of keeping himself safe. He's built a game off of nullification. He has not necessarily built much of a game off of imposing offense in an offense-first sport. And what's interesting about Islam, which we knew before, but this fight also confirms, is that he is also pretty defensively stout. He's hard to hurt. He's hard to hit consistently. You can do it, but it's hard to put, again, a sustained attack on him. But he also just doesn't make very many mistakes. It's hard to hit him in a way that's clean. It's hard to catch him lacking. It's hard to catch him making some kind of boneheaded error, right? So the fight kind of played out under under the basic expectations of what most of us were looking for here, to be quite honest with you. It wasn't very, very surprising in that sense. And I don't know how you guys feel about this fight. Do you feel like you were let down by it? Did you feel a little bored by it? Certainly the co-main event was deeply unimpressive. Maybe you feel like you didn't get your entertainment's worth, but I feel like for me, the standard of excellence that Islam Makhachev routinely sets is he is one of the best fighters I've just ever seen. He is one of the most, if not the most complete fighter at an elite level that I've ever seen. And when I say complete, I mean taking that skill set and using it to move up in weight and through challenges, right? I mean, George St. Pierre may have had a prettier overall game, but the way in which Makhachev is able to utilize what he has through increasingly difficult challenges is very, very remarkable. So in some ways, the fight is maybe a bit of a letdown, both on the action side, which to a degree should have been expected, and also because it seemed somewhat anticlimactic. And I do think Islam stalled a bit in this fight, and I definitely think he parked the bus in the fifth, which by the way, he did park the bus a little bit in one of the rounds in the first Volk fight when he got the control of the back as well. So this is not something that we're unaccustomed to seeing from him. But I also think it's very, very important to give Islam Makhachev his flowers. As I indicated, he breaks Anderson Silva's win streak. Dude, getting 17 consecutive fucking wins in the UFC is so mind-bogglingly difficult. And to do that in two weight classes through title defenses is just one of the most remarkable things you'll ever see. You can make an argument that this is the best title defense of a champ up a weight class in UFC history. I mean, there's other ones who have done it, but it's not nearly the same. Like John Jones going up and beating the corpse of Stipe Miocic. Who cares, right? You could maybe say Amanda Nunes going to 45. To what extent you want to count that? Randy Couture obviously has some of this as well, though. The fact that he got cut on from the Vitor Belfort fight kind of changes this to a degree. There's been some other ones too, but like, Conor never defended, GSP never defended, like a bunch of them have never defended. And even when they did, it was often in circumstances that were not particularly impressive. This was a number one contender up a weight class, and Islam certainly could not do whatever he wanted to do, but had such a deep well of skill and understanding how to take control of the fight when he needed to or press the brakes when he needed to, that he was able to take on a 28-year-old number one contender who had only lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov before that. This is not the kind of fight you're going to go back and look at and be like, oh, I am so impressed by this because there was just all of these acrobatics and atmospherics and there were these incredible displays of heart. This was just one of those fights where it's just hard fucking yards. It's just hard yards. And I grant part of that is Islam locking his hands together, forcing Garry's hands to the mat, and then kind of lingering in some of these positions. Yes, scooping out one of the post legs in numerous different situations, but, not the prettiest, not the one that's going to leave maybe a lasting imprint. But each climb up the hill cannot necessarily be that one. I didn't expect this one to be that way. I expected this one, again, the very specifics of how it looked, I don't know, but the general contours, yes. But I just really hope people don't let that cloud how insanely difficult this achievement is. To be 34 years of age, up a weight class against a 28-year-old number one contender who's got some of the best defense, certainly in this division, if not in the entirety of the UFC, and he couldn't really do much to Islam. And even the one round that you think he probably unanimously won, which is round 3, and he won. He had some good body kicks. I think a couple of good punches along the way. It wasn't some punishing assault. He won that one, relatively close, but he probably edged it in the end. That's really the best that guy could do. There is just simply this wall around Islam where, if you're not up to par, like you can't even begin to have a fight with him. Like a guy like Moicano is like not up. It's just never going to go that way. It's never going to work for a guy like that in a circumstance like this. You have to have more. But I think for me, Garry has enough of the defensive work where there are limits to it. Yes, his ability to break grips kind of hurt him here. His inability to turn and face Islam his inability to really extract himself very quickly off the ground, right? So even in situations where he's got a knee up and Islam's on his back, he kind of hung out there for a while, right? He couldn't really move the needle that way. He was very good, though, at not allowing Islam's attack to progress. It would get to a point and then kind of stop. He was very, very good about that. That's a tough guy to beat, dude. It's going to be like, dude, when the two guys who have beaten Ian Garry, Shavkat Rakhmonov and now Islam Makhachev, both of the times that Rakhmonov won and now Islam won, did either guy look good beating Garry? Yes. I mean, Makhachev certainly looked skillful here. I recognize. But I mean, did he look like his highlight reel best here? No. Did Rakhmonov look his highlight reel best in that fight? Not really. A couple cool takedowns. That's about it. Ian Garry is one of these guys that's just hard to look good against, dude. Ian Garry, in many ways, you know, it's kind of funny, right? He's like the sand in the gears of MMA, where in his fights, like, you know, when he mostly wins, but in situations where he can't, he's still throwing sand in the gears of someone else's rise a little bit, where they get it done, but it just, you know, it doesn't look quite right. And it's sand in the gears in terms of his relationship with the fans. And it's like sand in the gears. I'm going to sign with Eddie Hearn. He's just constantly, you know, this kind of a bulwark, this kind of like an impediment, this kind of like, he just sort of loves friction in that way. And it kind of bleeds into his fight style, where it's almost about just like taking away pieces of what other people can do without the assertion of offense. And so it leaves the victors, you know, Rakhmonov or now in this case Islam, in a place where I think a lot of people might look back and say, yeah, so what was so great about that? Dude, Islam is trying to climb a hill where just winning at all under the circumstances of what he is attempting to do are historically unusual. You know, and even then, Garry really, for the most part, couldn't get out of second or third gear. So I know this is like a bit of a hard argument to make, like, oh, what you should be doing right now is just appreciating the greatness of Islam Makhachev. Usually we say that with some kind of like memorable triumph. And this fight didn't have that. This fight did not have memorable triumph. To use the words of Dana White, it didn't have the oh shit moment. It did lack that. There's no denying. But I don't know who's going to do that against Ian Garry. If even Islam Makhachev can't do that against him, I don't think there are many that are gonna. I mean, eventually he'll get old, right? And then the equation might change. But for right now, he's 28. He's like entering his physical prime. It's just going to be really tough to do. Islam Makhachev, I don't think that, to me, I have to think about this. Like, does it, you know, where does this put him in this conversation of like greatest of all time? The problem is there were so many of those fights that he was supposed to have where guys pulled out and he had a subpar opponent, which was not his fault on last minute notice. But like when he's taken on A-class opponents, of Volk and Oliveira, I consider Garry to be an A-class opponent, you name it. I mean, for the most part, man, he's not really. I mean, I thought he won 4-1 against Volk. He won 4-1 here. You know, at 170, he blanketed fucking JDM like it was nothing. You know, obviously at 155, he just terrorized those guys in general. A historically special fighter from a historically special team. And I really loved, by the way, I should say this, I really loved some of the individual answers that he had too. We knew that single was going to be the predominant way in which Islam would go about this, in part because he doesn't have like a super explosive shot. He's got a good shot, but not a super explosive one. We knew he was going to do either the head inside single or the head outside single. The head inside single, you saw Jeremiah Wells do it to Miktabek Oralby, but it's the same thing that Ian Garry did to Shavkat Rakhmonov. You go for the ninja choke with the power guillotine when the head's on the inside, but he had the head on the outside. And you thought, okay, Gary's takedown defense with head and outside is pretty good. So what did Islam do? Islam tripped out the post leg after hitting, or even going through the crackdown, or afterwards collecting it as a way to like fully get the guy off. And even if Garry was able to rotate and get back to his base, here's Islam, boom, locking hands. And Garry simply couldn't do anything about it. No, I would have wished the referee would have done a little bit more to push the action there. But like talking about game planning and adaptations that they had ready, they knew that they were going to fight a battle if they tried to fight it along traditional lines. So the foot sweeps that you saw from Islam, or the trips, I should say, were just remarkable. Dude, how about that fucking head toss in motion? What was that, round number 2, when he dropped Garry with the head kick off the clinch break and then hit him over the top of the head, just kind of clubbing, rotating, and then getting into Scarfold. And you could see that he was looking to set up that armbar from Scarfold. Credit to Ian Garry for, again, defending himself in that way. He was able to pass, by the way, Ian Garry's guard like it was fucking nothing. I mean, there's just so many, dude. Just take a moment. Just take a moment and think about all the things that have to go right for you to beat a guy like Islam. Right? Noodle that through. Oh, one big shot could change it. Well, that's true for anybody. And it's especially true for Islam because he's up at 70 and you got some heavy hitters like Praches and you got some heavy hitters like Morales. Morales in particular seems like he could be an interesting one because of what a physical beast he is, right? But he's not nearly as refined as Islam. So we'll have to see. But I want you to sit there and noodle through what it's going to take to beat a guy like that. A guy who can keep himself safe for the most part at range, who's got an unreal diversity of attacks for takedowns, for pinning, for passing, for taking the back, for subs, for sub transitions through scrambles. By the way, on the feet, dropped Ian Garry. Again, it was somewhat not fluky, but it wasn't like they were standing apart. It was more of a transition situation off a clinch break, but nevertheless, like just having the target of opportunity and then having the presence of mind to go for it. Like, dude, he had all of that too. I want you to noodle what it's going to take to beat a guy like that. And I don't mean a lucky shot. I mean like to beat a guy like that. Islam is 34 years of age. He should be outside of his athletic prime at this point. And he's so still in good physical condition. And he's so skilled offensively and so not prone to error making that so many of these guys are either used to their opponents making mistakes or kind of fumbling into mistakes either from fatigue or bad decisions or whatever. Part of the reason why Islam doesn't make bad decisions is because he doesn't have to risk a lot to advance his offense. A lot of guys, they'll have, some kind of situation. I see something, I'm going to let go to try and set something up. It's going to be a risk, but I'm going to go for it. And then, sometimes it works. The majority of the time it doesn't. But they're trying to bridge a gap with enthusiasm, not skill. And that can work. That's not the worst thing in the world all the time, but it's unreliable. Islam doesn't do that. He doesn't need to do that. He's got avenues of offense in virtually every scenario, including how to get to a control position and then advance the attack. And again, Garry made it very, very difficult here. But I'm just saying, he doesn't make a lot of errors because he's hard to hit. And once he gets his hands on you, the routes that he can follow just by instinct of knowing where to go and what's going to happen and what he needs to do to get from A to B, B to C, C to D, and then on. It's virtually unparalleled in the history of MMA. He doesn't take risks because there aren't any necessarily. I mean, yes, of course, there's always risk, but I mean, in the sense of he doesn't have to hope and wish and scramble hard to get to something because he's just trying to luck his way through it or force his way through it. He can engineer his way through it, and that keeps him safe and it keeps the fight on his terms, even in cases like in round 5, he's parking the bus, or even in other cases where, he's trying to get Garry down or to advance the attack and he can't quite do it because Gary's fighting the hands or, whatever the case. And by the way, another factor, this guy was the 155 champ and he's still physically bossing these guys around too. At 5'10". Who looks stronger there, him or Garry? Looked to me like the former lightweight champ was the guy who had the physical, not the dimensions, right? Not the reach, not the height, but the physical brutality. Who had that? It's Islam. Islam is one of the most special fighters in the history of MMA. He's one of, if not the most complete in terms of using those skills up the an ascending level of difficult challenges. He is one of the least error-prone fighters I've ever seen. If he might be the least elite error-prone fighter ever. And you could say St. Pierre didn't make a lot of errors. He did. He got armbarred by Matt Hughes the first time when he went for a Kimura from side control, and then Matt just spun around and armbarred him. Obviously, he got finished by Matt Serra, like, shit like that. And I know Islam got his brains knocked out by, who was it, Adriano Martins. But since then, I mean, with one error, it's basically been nothing else, or very, very little. I don't know if you've got enough elite wins on there just yet. But in terms of, if we're ranking difficult challenges and historically what the best fighters have been turning in, he's reaching levels of and answering and accomplishing different challenges that even the other best fighters who may have had, like, oh, he's got better names on it overall, most of them couldn't do anything even approximating this. And I guess not even done. So in one sense, a little anticlimactic. In one sense, predictable, right? It went about, give or take. It went about what you might think. Ian Garry, in my opinion, maybe a little too content with the loss. I was glad to see him like loose and ready to go before the fight. I will say the lack of footwork here, I would love to hear what the strategy was on that one. Why did you think being flat-footed and not moving was better than moving? It must have been, I'm going to guess that one of those reasons had to be energy preservation. I don't know that necessarily helped him as much as movement might have. I don't know. I would be curious about that one. So to me, would you call that a strange performance from Ian Garry? No. I think questionable in certain ways. Questionable performance in certain ways. And I don't know if he was ready to be champion tonight. To have a loss like that, I mean, on the one hand, are you supposed to feel bad after you fought the number one pound-for-pound guy in the sport and you won at least one, in one case, 2 rounds off of him? Well, no, like, you should be on some level, you should be happy about the accomplishment. But on the other hand, to be so willing and so happy to be like, hey, you know what? I tried and I got pretty far. That's good enough tonight. Maybe you weren't ready to be a champion tonight, actually. Like, I don't need him to be devastated for me. I don't need him to be devastated performatively. But taking it that easily, that quickly, I'm not saying he didn't believe he would win, but like, I'm not sure that there was enough fire. He has fire. Interesting, right? Like, Ian Garry's got fire and competition in his heart, especially for like proving haters wrong, or, he's got his own like checklist of things that kind of matter that sometimes dovetail with success in the octagon, but not fully. And it feels like that you saw a bit of a manifestation of that. Now, I'm not saying he won't be champion in the weight class, but I think if I'm him, you might want to reflect on like how easily he accepted the loss there. And then secondly, the tape was right about him. The tape was that, yeah, your defense is legit. Like, it's hard to do anything to him in any kind of like really advanced way. But the offense, bro, you can't beat good guys pot-shotting late into a fight. It's just, no. You want to win titles at fucking welterweight? Dude, you need to have some dynamism to your offense. Islam doesn't make mistakes, but he's not defense first. And I think that's the key. Yes, can a guy like Sean Strickland make elite defense work? Of course, you have to put offense behind it. But yes, elite defense to me is the key to his game. Yes, there's cases where it can work, but that's more often the exception that proves the rule. What I really respect about Islam is he is an offense-first fighter with very, very critically good defense. And I think that made the difference today. I really do. I would have to think more about where, as I mentioned before, is he the greatest of all time? I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe you guys feel differently. Maybe you have an opinion. If you do, leave one in the super chat. I'd love to see it. Like, do you think this guy is now the best to ever do it? I think, as I indicated, the accomplishment category that he's reaching is totally historically unusual. And just the consistency of excellence as the challenges escalate is so historically unusual. Arguably the most well-rounded guy in terms of what it means to go through escalating challenges in UFC history. Arguably that guy. So who do we think is next? Do we think Prochazka is next? Do we think Morales is next? I think honestly Morales might be next, but who knows if they give him Prochazka. Who would you rather see? Now, me personally, I'd take either. I'd rather see him fight Morales. I think Morales as a physical beast, green, but a physical beast, presents an interesting kind of challenge for Islam. How do you deal with a guy who might be defensively stout and just a fucking tank at 170? And I think Prochazka is like deceptively strong, but the grappling differential, right? I mean, how many times did Ian get Prochazka down? Ian got Prochazka down 4 times. It's like, bro, if Ian can do that, I mean, you would imagine Islam can do that, right? Let's take a look at some of these numbers from the fight. Jesus, anemic totals. Anemic. Let me show these to you. Okay. Let's take a look at these. See what you guys think. What stands out to you? All right, let's do it this way. Okay. Let's do this. Man, look at these striking totals. Just not a lot. 22 significant strikes for Makhachev, 29 for Garry. Obviously, there was more total strikes. 7 takedowns for Makhachev. That's impressive. And then 12 and a half minutes of control time. That's also impressive. He gets one. So he got a takedown in every round, Makhachev did. 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 2 in the fourth, and then 2 in the fifth. And this one came with the back as well. Garry getting 0 significant strikes off in the fifth. I wonder what round they gave him. Round 3 is the one where he had more. I get maybe round 4 too. Maybe they gave him that one as well. I'm not really sure. I suppose so, yeah, because look at the level of activity. So maybe they gave him, one of the judges maybe gave him round 4. Let's look at the targeting on this one. Yeah, Islam kind of all over the place. By the way, Ian Garry doing a very good job checking the leg kicks, that inside cut kick that Islam was going for. Garry checked it every time. Again, man, it's fucking defense is legit. Dude, look at this by Garry. Targeting the head 24%. Brother, how are you going to beat Islam doing that shit? How are you going to do that? How are you going to beat him targeting his head 24% of the time? Just not great numbers for adding to the stats, except for the 7 takedowns and the control time by Islam. But just a bit of like, dude, he had no significant strikes in round 1 and no significant strikes. Excuse me. Oh, Islam had 0 significant strikes in round 5. I apologize. I got that wrong. So Garry had 0 in round 1. I mean, neither guy doing a lot on the striking department, but it's just, guys are hard to hold down in the modern age. Guys are hard to advance attacks on in the modern age. So if you're going to have a grappling fight where one guy is good, but the other guy's defense is really strong, you're going to get totals like this that don't really live up to expectation for entertainment. I don't know how you guys feel about it. You've heard me now. There's no need to repeat it. I hope that there's enough respect for what Islam does. I hope he finds ways in very difficult circumstances to just never let the fight get that far away from him. All right, we'll come back to this a little bit later. Oh God, dude, what do we say about this fight? Jesus fuck. Mackenzie Dern defeats Gillian Robertson 49-46 on 2 of the judges' scorecards, 48-47. This fight was not especially interesting to me. Mackenzie Dern was better. She was a better athlete. She was better on the ground. She was better striking. She was basically for the most part better everywhere. I give Robertson credit for certainly not quitting and then having a strong 5th round. She got on top in the 5th and then pounded her out, or not finishing, but put some work on her. I respect that. She got handled in the first 2 rounds, and then rounds 3 and 4 really sucked. And then round 5, Dern, just tried not to get finished. Let's talk about Dern for a second. She has made improvements. Her offensive takedowns were better in this fight, and she's been working on those. You guys all know that. Her double, the timing was great on this one. She ran it down. How many takedowns did she get? She got 4 of 6, so a high percentage as well. Usually she has a very low percentage of like successful takedown accomplishment per attempt, but this time it was really, really high, 2/3 basically. That's pretty fucking good. So that's really good for her. I thought obviously her jiu-jitsu is really good when she had the back at various times. Certainly her striking was better. She put combinations better together. She had some good body kicks herself. She had good leg kicks as well. She was more fluid with them. Like she was just kind of better everywhere. But some of the things that have been lacking in her game are still kind of lacking. And there was a comment earlier that really got to the heart of the matter, which is that there's no question that Dern has gotten better over time. Really no question. The problem is it's taken a long time. And as a consequence, some of the other parts of her game that should have been worked on by now are not. And honestly, another part of her game has kind of regressed. I was not impressed with her passing in this fight. I was surprised how hard it was for her to pass Robertson's guard. I'm not saying Robertson has bad jiu-jitsu. She does not. She has good, but Dern's should be a lot better. As I told you guys, when you're trying to pass the legs over, there are different ways to do it for different reasons. But to me, if you want to keep them flat, the leg has to be pressed into them to hold them flat with some kind of body weight on that leg to press them flat. Just throwing them to the side like that, again, there can be reasons why that would be just fine, but she did it over and over enough to the point where it wasn't really working, and so I didn't understand the part of that. But the thing that really gets me, and the part of her game that was just very, very lacking to me, is the ground and pound. And this is something I did a whole tape study on this very channel. She'll get the back and then post off of her forehead and then try to ground and pound. Just think about the mechanical disadvantage of that. If you wanted to, you've seen those like things where like you go to like a county fair and they got the speed bag hanging and they try to punch it as hard as you can. Which, if you were trying to maximize that score, would you get on the ground, post on your head, and try and punch underneath you while you're posted on your head? You would never do that. There's no punching power behind it. Oh, you can set up subs that way. But she wasn't. She used to go real high and then look for the arm. Now she doesn't. So she just kind of gets high, posts on the forehead, and then does this. There's just nothing to that. And after 2 rounds of trying to like just use, almost pure jiu-jitsu to do it and not being successful, some of the takedowns didn't work a little bit later either. Robertson got better with it as time went on. But had a hard time passing guard and had a hard time with the ground and pound. And it's like, the key to Khabib's game, such that you want to use it as a model, is pinning, top pressure, the threat of passing, the threat of positional advancement, as well as the threat of subs and ground and pound. They all work in concert together. And if you don't have them all working in concert together, you end up in these stalemate situations where, again, is Dern better than Robertson? Sure. Did you see evidence of that? Of course you did. But at the same time, she also kind of just got stalled out eventually, not being able to really advance the attack. Got a little close with the choke in the first round, got a little close with it, fair enough. But it just, she couldn't maintain that. And it's like, if you don't have ground and pound to really beat these people up, to change their decision-making underneath, you're just fighting the same battles round over round, or very similar battles round over round. And to me, it's like, I can appreciate that Dern has worked on her game, and I can appreciate that she's got some real wins. And Gillian Robertson is a quality opponent. But there's nothing to me that was like special about what we saw. There was nothing to me like regal about it. There was nothing to me that felt like, wow, we're watching the best in the world here. I think when you've got kind of, look at Islam's game, he may not see ground and pound in a situation where Ian Gary is able to pop up all the time. But imagine if he had to control someone with the abilities of Gillian Robertson. I mean, obviously it's a male versus female, but I'm saying contextually, right? With someone who was a male of a similar kind of game, dude, he would have beaten that person into fucking. I mean, he would have beaten him like a summer job, bro. They worked him like a summer job. Like it would have been nothing. And Islam's not a huge ground and pound guy. He's more of a positional advancement and, control guy, and sub guy, but he'll do it too. But in any case, it just was really lacking. It was really lacking. And so the fight just kind of got extended, even though Dern was clearly better. And again, credit to Robertson for kind of hanging in there. She won 2 rounds on one of the judges' scorecards, and she clearly won the 5th, no questions asked. So 4-1 at the worst. That's how I scored it, 4-1. But it just didn't feel very special to me. It didn't feel unique. It did not feel, it was not especially interesting as a fight. When fights advance and then they just kind of stall out along similar lines because the people aren't skillful enough to advance it, which is different to me than what you got in Islam versus Garry. Doesn't do a whole lot for me, you know? I don't think does a whole lot for you guys either. I don't know where Zhang Weili is. I don't see how she would lose, although maybe she's too old at this point. I don't know. So definitely some good parts about Dern's performance. Definitely. Especially early. But the level of defense that Garry has is significantly higher than the level of defense that Robertson has. And I can appreciate Islam up a weight class, not able to advance the attack on a guy like that. I cannot appreciate it nearly as much in a context like this. So, yeah. Jalen Turner, in a fight that never needed to get made, defeats Kaue Fernandes at 39 seconds of round number 1. Fernandez, again, I'm not sure how you say it. Fernandes, I don't know. Fernandez, he tries to spin and gets kind of stopped by maybe like 3/4 of the way through because it hits the shoulder, but he can't turn back. And then Turner just fucking opens up on him when he's at a bad angle and then finishes him off. And then actually, I think for a second, kind of held one of the arms as Fernandez was trying to retreat to prevent it. So a really nice win by Jalen Turner. I don't know what the fuck the point of that fight was. I don't know what Fernandez had even done to put himself in a position to fight Jalen Turner. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. So really nice win by Jalen Turner. That's 2 in a row now since he had that like mini scare, that mini, what do you want to call that? Retirement. But I don't know what that was. Fine to get the finish. I don't know what that was. Dustin Stoltzfus defeating Mansour Abdul Malik. That was a good one. 4:25 of round number 2. Mansour Abdul Malik, Division I wrestler out of University of Maryland. He may have wrestled other places as well. You know, he ran into a buzzsaw against Belgarwi in his last fight, and you thought, okay, well, that was Belgarwi's coming out one. Stoltzfus in this one was able to out-wrestle him, and honestly, just use veteran savvy, like really took the fight to him. Obviously had some understanding of how they because they trained together, some of his areas of weakness, but really just put pressure on him, and in particular, put a pressure on the feet, on the ground. He was doing knee on fucking neck, like really making life miserable for him. But it was that ground assault where he was just kind of going after him, like just kind of trying. And eventually it worked. He was able to pound him out, and then obviously got the rear naked choke at the end there. But he just kind of like it was just swinging the axe over and over again, just being proactive on offense against a guy who maybe is, not risk averse, but can't quite find all the openings that he needs, and you're setting the offensive tone. That's a nice win by Dustin Stoltzfus. That might be his best win in the UFC, to be honest with you. Is that his best win? I know he beat Pfeiffer, but that was off of an injury on Contender Series. He beat Soriano. It might be. I mean, the Soriano one might be a little bit better. He got a performance of the night in that one, and the Marc-Andre Barrios when he got a performance of the night when he finished both of those guys too. But, in general, that was a bit of I hate to say it, maybe a bit of a fraud check one. I think that's 2 losses in a row now for Abdul Malik where he's looked really not up to par. He looks the part. He looks the part physically. And he certainly got some of the things you really would want with a wrestling background. But he just, I don't know, he loses focus and direction in some of these fights and waits around a little bit too long. That was a good effort by Dustin Stoltzfus. Esteban Ribovics taking on Edson Barboza. I don't know why the fucking fight went. I don't know why this fight happened at all. And I don't know why it went to the second round. It should have been stopped after the first. Barboza's body language was terrible. He gets stopped at 132 of round number 2. He retired thereafter, which is a very good reason. Dude, Edson Barboza has taken an absolute metric ton. of abuse. So I was glad to see him call it a career, but I don't know what the fucking point of that was. Like, there was no drama or intrigue. Rubovic just kind of pressed into him as much as he needed to eventually land. Barboza couldn't keep him off of him, which is very common in the later stage of Barboza's career. And then he just gets his lights put out eventually. I don't know what the fuck the point of that was. Some fun results on the preliminary card, which we'll talk about on MK. All right. If you've got a question or a comment for the Q&A portion, I'd love to see it. All right? I'd love to see it. Let's see what you got. Oh, wait, hang on. I don't care significantly more exciting than the JDM fight. Yeah, to an extent. Dana White notes. Dana White says that if Garry had even an ounce of killer instinct, he could have won. Did not like how cordial the fighters were with each other. Neither do I. I agree with Dana. Feels Ian will regret tonight. Did I not say that? I actually agree with Dana. Dana said that Ian is a classy guy, but when the fight starts, he needs to flip the switch. I agree. I totally agree. White says that there is no update on Zhang Weili's return, but he is excited to see her face Dern and hopes she returns soon. And apparently that's it. I guess there's not much else going on. All right. Too much fucking smooching in this fight from Gare Bear. Dude, we saw this in the tape study. If y'all did the tape study, I'm going to put it up here on the screen. I'll put this up. If y'all did the tape study with me yesterday, you would have seen this. The amount of times that he fucking daps up his opponents drives me insane. Maybe Shaw was right when he said Islam isn't even in his top 10. He really said that. Bloody Elbow wrote about it. No, I would disagree. Islam would be in my top 10. For sure. The moment was not too big for Ian. Respect. I think it was a little bit. I know what you mean. I understand what you're saying. I don't want to be like disagreeable just to be disagreeable. But I think it was a little too big for him. Not obviously not that he didn't deserve to be there. He clearly did. But in terms of marshaling the psychological forces to competitively get himself ready, no, I think he left a little to be desired to me. Islam doesn't wear damage well, always looks beat up. That is also true. Fedor was like that. Fedor would cut like it was nothing. I stayed awake for this shit. I'm sorry, bro. I mean, what can I do? Ian is annoying. Hate him. He is annoying. I don't disagree with that. Khabib is a better finisher than Islam. I don't know if the numbers bear that out, but the nature of how Islam finishes up a weight class. I mean, this is up a weight class, bro. You got to give him a little bit of credit. I can't wait for Prochazka or Morales to end his career and him having a Bryce Mitchell moment on the floor. He's just not close to a GOAT fighter. I mean, I think he is close. I'm not saying he is. I think there's some healthy debate about that. But, like, he's clearly one of the best guys to ever do this. I don't give a fuck what people say. Watching greatness is awesome. Islam is so good. Even against a much bigger body, he got it done. It wasn't thrilling, but it was pure excellence. Stand up these shit body triangles against the fence. If you position yourself close enough to fence, it's almost impossible to open it up. Blatant stall. I'm with you for the most part. I don't know about body triangles up against the fence. I don't know what the rules should be there either. But these guys with these body locks, right? I've talked about this before. Referee's position. You guys have seen it in collegiate wrestling, right? A guy will get down on his knees and he'll put his hands here. His opponent will come around his hip and then to an elbow. And the minute that you can't lock it up, but as minute that he touches, referee blows the whistle and then they scramble. It's called referee's position. You're not allowed to lock your hands there. You're not allowed to start locking your hands because it'd be so hard to break it. There's other times you can lock your hands for different circumstances, but not from referee's position. But in MMA, they don't care. So just lock your hands. But it stalls the fight out. I agree. One fight a year for C-plus fights. Silva's win streak is still far more impressive than Islam's. Yeah, certainly more regal and certainly just bigger overall. I hope Prochazka cracks him. Expect Islam back in Q3 of 2027. I hope it's not that long. Ian must regret not being a bit more aggressive. If he doesn't, then he's never gonna be a champion. I'll say that. If he doesn't regret being more aggressive, he'll never be a champion. I'm not sure about Praches, but Morales does Islam bad, and there's not an MMA fan that can convince me otherwise. Islam don't want those problems. That's why I want to see that fight. I think that the pure wrestling skill plus the enormous heft of a guy like Morales makes that very interesting to me. Should Islam retire? He could, but I don't think he's gonna. Morales might KO him. Good. That's what you want. You guys are saying you think Morales can beat Islam, and maybe you're right. I'm not even saying you're not right. What I'm saying is because you believe that, that's why I want to see it. Oh, someone who can give Islam a fight. I want to see it. Can't shake the feeling Islam, his next defense. I don't know what that means. Back to the chair, Mr. Gary. You guys just entertaining fictionalized things about his marriage. Other than the head kick here and the leg kicks in the Jack fight, Islam seems much more control-based and slightly offensively muted at 170. Yes. Yes. He has definitely taken safer approaches at 170. No question about it. He could have done more against Jack. I think it's a fair criticism. I mean, he beat him, but he could have done more. Gary is a little hard to do more against in the way in which he was trying to pursue the fight, but maybe there was other ways to pursue it that could have been a little bit more offensively oriented for scoring, for damage, and he clearly doesn't go that route very aggressively. Where is Shavkat? Well, dude, Shavkat's dad just died. So he's had a terrible fucking situation. He's getting divorced. He's had the knee injuries, the re-injury, and then his dad died. Like, dude, his life is in shambles. Yeah, there you go. Shavkat is in divorce court, unfortunately, man. Islam streak continues, but he's not as dominant without the weight advantage. If some has the same defense and hits harder, Islam is cooked. Okay, but who is that? Praches? Who's got better takedown defense than Gary? Morales, maybe, right? That's at least in theory, right? Maybe Morales does. And certainly he's going to be bigger and stronger and hit harder. So that makes him an interesting threat. But can he keep that up over time? I don't know. Ian's just happy to be there and never fights to finish. I did not like his attitude after it was over. Way too complacent. I feel like Ian dished out way more damage. Well, Islam did drop him in the second. I mean, I know what you mean, like overall, maybe. Way more seems strong, but maybe more. Gary won that fight on damage. I don't think so. No. I think we're slowly seeing fighters catch up, at least survive against the Dagestani fighters. Hughes, Volt, Gary. The future looks exciting. Yes. I mean, Islam has to win sometimes by hook or by crook. And he can't keep this up forever. But I also think that Gary's defense is extra special. Ian is going to live off those 2 rounds forever, probably. Yeah, until he gets another good win. But yeah. No legit way to give Islam round 4 with the current grading criteria. No way. Why is this still so confusing? Islam didn't even threaten anything. I'd have to go back and watch. You might be right. You might be right. Even then, though, it'd be 48-47. Is there not some element of active stalling with these body locks on the fence? We've been talking about this. Round 4 was virtually 0 damage from Islam. Shouldn't be rewarded. The thing to me is when you get a guy with a body lock, so now my hands are occupied, right? I have to punch, I have to break it so that I can punch. But if my hands are there, I got nothing to punch with. So if I'm going to lock that up, what do they end up doing? Kneeing to the thigh, or something similar like that. One of the rules you're supposed to look for is if they have a body lock or just some kind of lock or some kind of control position, and then they're throwing what can only be a busy shot. That is supposed to be something that is typically flagged for breakup over time. And you did see Herb Dean clap to encourage them and say, do more, but he never really intervened, Set the tone for 170 where the JDM fight should have. Islam can't manhandle these 170ers without gassing and becoming vulnerable. I think he retires. I don't think he retires just yet. Honestly, I think Ian is the toughest test for Islam at 70. The other guys are just as rangy, but don't have near the takedown defense of Ian. Islam still clearly won rounds 1, 2, and 5. I'm still impressed. I think that they've got good takedown defense and maybe better early. I don't think they've got sustained defense like he does. How different would the conversation be if the kid KO'd Garry? Very. I mean, he stopped him inside 2 rounds. That would be a very, very different conversation. Does Islam have the best strength of schedule ever? No. Not in terms of pure name value. No. No, he does not. He does in terms of categorically increasingly difficult challenges. He's got one of the best ones. But in terms of pure names, not yet. Islam looks small and in general couldn't figure out Garry. Who has figured out Garry? Who's figured it out? You know what I mean? Shavkat couldn't figure it out. Islam couldn't figure it out. Who figured it out? Nobody. Nobody looks good beating. This is what I'm talking about. Who's looked good against him? Oh, Prochess in round 5. Even then, that was only for about a minute. Ian somehow made Islam even uglier. I guess that's fair. Sure feels like they wanted Islam to break the record. I watched both, and this was lame as hell. Dude, they didn't give him a layup here. I mean, you can say you didn't like the fight, and that's fine. That's totally reasonable. They didn't give him a layup here, bro. They gave him a hard fight here. I don't like him, but Ian is good. His defensive wrestling was impressive. Confident Islam will have an easier time against Prochess and Morales. So see, this guy thinks it's going to be even easier. You know, that's why these fights make me excited. There's this dispute, right? That's what makes it interesting. Ref should have done more to prevent the stalling. I think I agree with that. I don't know if that changes the outcome. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But I agree with that. I think there's more to be done when guys are just body locking and not really able to meaningfully advance the attack. Holding on to someone round 1 sounds to a white belt like me to be arms versus body, and body wins. Is that true? If so, should Khabib have warned him? Well, it's not just arms versus body. It's your body too. So, like, for example, he would get behind him with the double unders, and then you're driving the shoulder to the back of the head to get them over, to get their hands to the mat. So it's manipulating your body to manipulate their body and their weight. It's a little bit more than just categorically hands versus body. You got the right idea in thinking about how strength and leverage is applied, but you got to go a little more. Big fan of Islam and glad he won, but this fight made me nervous for a fight against Morales Prochess because of their power and size. This is more where I am, but I would still favor Islam to win both of those fights. Feeling sad for my Strickland fan types that had to watch women and a vegan in a row. They'll live. They'll live. Here's $10 to wipe your chin. Okay. Thank you. I might be misreading it, but during Islam's post-fight interview, it looked like Garry was talking to Dana and pointing down at his right foot and leg. Maybe an injury caused the underwhelming footwork. Maybe. Maybe he couldn't move as much. Maybe that explains it. I don't know why he would not move as much, but for a really weird decision or an injury. Ian Garry really poses no forward threat, it seems. Well, that's not true. I mean, he fought one of the best strikers in this division and beat him standing. Got some takedowns on him, but that wasn't what won the fight. Andy, welcome to the party. Islam has 5 title defenses. Jones has 13, GSP 10. That's true, but GSP and Jones up a weight class don't have nearly that level of accomplishment. What, the fucking corpse of Stipe Miocic? Get the fuck out of here. Shields KOs Scott in 6 for what it's worth. Your mileage may vary. Oh, Clarissa? She's fighting tonight? Islam is not the GOAT. Padded record. I won't call it padded, but it's got gaps in it. Until the Oliveira fight, all his previous opponents were unranked at the time he fought them. The new John Fitch. Dude, John Fitch did not have... I covered John Fitch's career in real time. Nope. 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 That is not an accurate comparison. Not even close. LT, thoughts on Islam's judo trips being the key? We kind of went over this one. Islam's ability to harass upper body and lower body at the same time is remarkable, right? So that's one thing he's able to do. Trips, right? Throws, you know, you name it, because he's attaching himself to you with his upper body and then using his legs to harass your balance or something like that, you know, scoop out stuff. And then that head and arm throw in transition was I mean, fucking perfect. Islam's judo is some of the best I've seen in MMA since Carl Parisian. Dern really needs to improve her ground and pound. I think it's the biggest thing that's missing in her game. I totally agree. Just donating to prove the previous dono wrong. Hooker and Moises were ranked. Armin, Green, Dober, T-Bow were unranked, but not chumps. I think he's GOAT. Yeah, well, either way, like when they've given him A-class opponents, he's beaten them. Physical contact between fighter and ring announcer needs to be banned immediately. I fucking hate it so much. The cringe goes way too hard to watch. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Opinions on Gary's interview after the fight. I hated it. I appreciate that he's not like wallowing in self-pity and leading to a path of self-destruction. But like, hey, I mean, again, if he was injured and that was the best he could do, that's one thing. But just this kind of attitude of like, hey, I'm really proud of myself. I fought a guy. Like, I want him to get to that place eventually. But to not wrestle with a loss like that, I don't know. It gives me a bad vibe. Dern close to a finish. Why more critics than Islam? She was fighting a much lower caliber opponent. 17 straight UFC wins. Heard of that before? Now you have because of Islam. Figure out who the GOAT is. Next 17-0 streak, maybe 2050. It'll be a while before you see it. It'll be a while. People forget Shavkat was 18-0 with 18 finishes before fighting Gary, and even he couldn't put Gary away and nearly got submitted himself. Gary's defense is legit. Impressive win by Islam, even without the finish. This is kind of more where I'm at. The main and co-main were both rightly scored. Excuse me. The main and co-main both rightly being scored 4-1 indicates a need for more nuanced scoring system. Well, in what way though? I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't know exactly what you mean. It's hard to react. I don't know what you mean. My mistake. He fought 2 ranked fighters before Oliveira. Hooker, post Poirier, and Moises. Not elite opponents. He got the title shot because of Khabib. Well, also because people wanted to see him tested. And then when he got tested, he beat the fucking shit out of Oliveira. Thoughts on oral by? Dude, that head inside single. Guys going for a single with their head on the inside. The common reaction now is either you can call it a ninja choke or you can call it a power guillotine, where they scoop the head this way and then come over the top this way, right? Power guillotine, ninja choke, you can call whatever you want. It's the answer to it. Again, Gary did it to Shavkat Rakhmonov. That's how he got out of some of those takedowns against Rakhmonov. We saw that on the tape study. Yeah, man. Oralby overcommitted to it, and Wells hit it instantly. Oralby is good, but he's a little too hittable and a little too leading with the head. Khabib versus Maia, sub-only grappling match. Who you got? Probably Khabib. If it's a points one, it depends on the format. It depends on the format, but probably Khabib because Maia is really old. How do you see an Islam Strickland fight? I think Strickland's too big. And Islam's quest for a third title in a third division. I don't think that's going to work. Can Islam be the first to do that? I don't think so. I think Islam is kind of up against the limit. Could Islam beat like a sub elite 85er? Yeah, probably he could. But we're talking about like titles. No, I think it's a bridge too far. Why does Ian seduce his opponents every 30 seconds? I've never seen someone so friendly whilst getting punched in the face. I don't know. Some kind of coping mechanism. I don't get it. I don't know. I hate it. I hate the, let's dap it up. It's fucking, dude, save that shit for afterwards. How can Gillian be so unathletic as a pro athlete? Because fighting is about athletic potential, about athletic skill and prowess, but that is not enough to get the job done, and you can make up a lot for it with other traits. Have you watched Citizen Vigilante or Infidel? I don't even know what Infidel is, but I know Citizen Vigilante is the kind of movie you would watch on a dare, or if you had, sub 75 IQ. Luke, missed the whole card because of work. Cooked for a bunch of rich ladies in Marin tonight. Catching your post-fight to catch what I missed. Much love, my brother. Thanks for everything you do. Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, not that great of a card, if I can be honest. Ian is the UFC's best sparring partner. Will give you good looks, a little resistance, and won't hurt you. He banged up Islam a little bit, but in general, I think there's a lot to this. Although I'll say the resistance he gives to everyone who's not named Rakhmonov and Makhachev is pretty good. UFC is out of stars, average fight cards. This one was not that fun. I agree. Let me see if I can read this. I think an L is around the corner for Islam at welterweight. If I'm his manager, shoot for a title fight at middleweight versus Sean or Drickus and then retire. Could he win? I don't think so. No, I don't think he can win. I think that would be a bridge too far. I really do believe that. No. Initial thoughts on the 333 card. From what I saw, it looked great. Main event, Volk, Evloev, co-main, Merab, Yan 2. What more could you ask for? No reel for Edson retirement. He made all-time great highlights. They were saying on the broadcast he didn't want it. Islam is still great. He slowed down against Ian, but everyone has trouble with Ian. Islam will improve, and until then, nobody has been able to beat Islam. I think that's pretty fair. Yeah. Well, I don't know how much he'll improve, but he'll have a ready game plan and skill set for whoever's next. What's the rationale for Islam winning the 5th when he got outstruck 7-0 and didn't have one sub attempt? Ian wins with more volume. The idea would be, in theory, you don't have to agree with that, by attacking the back and holding it, he had Ian for long stretches of a time in an asymmetrical, perilous position. Right? Dern versus Rousey, MMA or grappling, who wins? Probably Dern in MMA. Probably Dern in both. Thoughts on a coach like Dean Thomas publicly sending their fighters to hell on a UFC broadcast? I'm not sure what you're referring to specifically. For a coach student, isn't that better said in private? In general, yes, but without knowing the specifics of that, I don't know what you're referring to. Charles Johnson's Scottish Twister was crazy. Dude, that was so sick. That dude, Chapolin, which means cricket in Spanish. I think that's right. He gave him everything he could handle for a little while. But then eventually the tide began to turn. And anyway, they get into this grappling sequence after he was kind of putting it on Chapolin for a little bit. And then, of course, he baits him, tries to roll into it, and then just pops it over. Oh, that was sick. Super, super sick. Well done. Thinking about how much people talk about Islam's strength, yet Ian managed to avoid submission. Yeah, but he wasn't the stronger guy. Ian had Islam more hurt and confused than he realized. I'm not so sure about that. Confused, I don't think so. It's just tough to advance against a guy who understands about how to maintain the fundamentals of a situation to avoid it getting out of control. You know. All right. We're done here for the day. Oh, maybe one more. Hang on. Only thing missing from Ian's game is physically kissing his opponents after every moderately low kick. I'll let that Ian Garry slander slide because he brought it on himself with all the dapping up. All right, boys and girls. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll have a full breakdown on MK on Monday. I'll have more coverage tomorrow here on this YouTube channel. We're back. Oh, we got one more. Islam had a streak beating pound for pound 2, pound for pound 1, and pound for pound 1 again. The idea he hasn't beat good guys is insane. Islam hate is wild. There are just meaningful differences between his resume and Silva's for a lot of different reasons, but I agree. There is plenty of quality on Islam's resume. All right. Thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you haven't. Subscribe to my Substack if you haven't. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. We're out of here. I'll see y'all tomorrow, and I'll see you on Monday. And until then, get some sleep, bitches. Peace.